Hi, this is Popo, I hope you'll fine. Welcome back to a new matches video where we're going to cover a game that features a new faction that came in the recent patch, which are the Carbuncles. A lot of people are actually talking about this faction on the matches Discord because they say that this faction is very hard to play, very counterintuitive, and very visually crapping themselves. And I pretty agree with that, most of the thing. Visually you can get acquainted to that, but yeah, this is a very hard faction, maybe one of the hardest faction to learn and master in matches. And this is not a pure coincidence if this faction is the one of the last one that you would unlock before the final boss on the adventure mode. And it comes just after the Nagas, and the Nagas is already something to master. So it makes sense to say that this faction is pretty difficult. This is what I call a split faction, actually, because on the old matches days, several traits were available on a unique faction. For example, the old angels had some bouncing and going through the borders or the corners of the board traits, and also the invincibility trait. So Madman would isolate the invincibility to make the angels, let's just stay as they are, and also take the other one and make the genies with it. So this is what I called a split faction. For the Carbuncles, it seems like the legend says that this is a split faction coming from the demons, but I wouldn't call that a real split faction because this is more that taking something out of the demons. But I can understand why the demons have been completely reworked to be differentiated from the Carbuncles. So without ado, let's explain how the faction works. Because actually there are a lot of non-match chess players watching the video, so you need an explanation of how it works. When you take a regular pawn, it has a normal move, forward 1. It has a capture, so forward diagonal 1, which doesn't match the actual normal move, so already something, and it has a first move bonus, which that doesn't also match the two other patterns. The Carbuncle faction is built fully on this ID. Every piece would follow this. So the pieces would not move as they capture, and they have a first bonus move that doesn't match any of the previous patterns. So let me show you how it works. This is the quartz. It moves like a rook up to 4 squares, but it captures like a knight, and its first bonus move is sliding up to 4 squares like a bishop for move and capture. Yeah, this is already something. This is a hare. It moves like a knight, but it captures like a bishop up to 4 squares, and the first move bonus is sliding up to 3 squares like a rook, but only sliding up and just move, not capture. For me, that would be more coherent to extend this to full range rook and allow capture for the first move. That would be better. And as this is the first move, there's not a big deal out of it, because this is just the first move, but that would make the hair a little better. Because the Carbuncle faction, I omitted to say this, is a little weak compared to the other factions. The squirrel moves like a bishop up to 4 squares, but it captures like a rook up to 4 squares, and on the first bonus move, it would jump also like a knight on the sides only for capture. So again, this would be better to have full knight range for move and capture for the first move, would be better. But this is just my proposition. This is a fox. This moves like a queen, excuse me. Yep. This moves like a queen up to 4 squares. But it captures like a knight, but not as a knight, also with any 2 squares jump. So this is like a ring around the fox. So funny enough, this is the only queen type unit of matches that doesn't work with melee attack. So this means that you can't put a death kiss under your opponent king with the fox. So this is a different way of playing with a queen. Very disturbing at first. For the first move bonus, this is even crazier. It can land on any vacant square on the 2 fly strengths. So Actually, all the squares are occupied by pieces, but if a piece moves and reveals a vacant square, the fox can just jump on this one. Not to capture, of course, that wouldn't make sense, but just move on this square, teleport. So, pretty strong. Finally, you see that the pawns are not the same as regular pawns, they have a little gem. Yeah, they are called gems. They still have the normal move of the pawn, the normal capture move on the pawn, but the bonus move has been increased with also diagonal sideways move. So you see already that this faction doesn't make any sense for somebody used to play regular chess. Even if you play cans on pie chess, you would be disturbed by this faction. So how to play it? I have to say that I had to play the World Adventure mode with the Carbuncles to be sure to know how to play correctly this faction. And relying on some ideas made by the other matches players, I now have ideas on doing with it. Did you rely on the fact that every matches faction has a thematic in terms of use that goes with chess? Sometimes it's opening, sometimes it's fairy, sometimes it's attack, sometimes square, and stuff. Here for the Carbuncles, it would be harmony. But not harmony in sense of scarabs, because this is harmony in the mid-game combos. So for me, it's more tactical skills that goes with scarabs. For the Carbuncles, this is more harmony in the opening. The opening is very important in the Carbuncles. If you do the same way as you do with a classic chess opening, I guess you miss something. You have to do the very artistic way, as every piece has a normal first move. Not normal first move, which is very particular, and that the pawns can slide anywhere as you want on the sides. Then you can shape and build the pawn structure you want. So for me, first go with the pawns and try to get a lot of activity for your pieces, but not to develop them instantly for later. So you create harmony in your position, and then you develop, you create your attack, you create your defense, you do all the stuff. So let me cover a game that I play against the computer, so not the best opponent, but it would have the level of a matches beginners that would discover his first game against the Carbuncles and be pretty disturbed. So let's see how it goes. The game starts with gem to d4, already something strange. Why do I put this here? Or maybe I should put the right color arrows every time. Why this move? Because I'm supported by the first bonus move of the quartz first. Also, I want to build a big pawn structure in the center, exchange some of them against the center pawns of my opponent, and finish with 1 or 2 pass pawns, and that would be even better if the 2 pass pawns in the center are connected. So this is a way to deal with it. Also, at the same spot, I would be able to develop my hair quickly if I want to get a side attack. Well, spine to f6, so not a pawn move, why not? I decide to mirror with gem to e4. Of course, you can't capture, as you know. This is going to be captured by the quartz first move. And we have spine to c6. You can decide to kick directly the spine, but no, I'm not ready to do this. This has no sense for now. I decide to follow up with gem to f4. So now I decide to add a pawn to my structure, so now I can get a very cool center. But at the same time, I can decide later on to develop this and develop that. So you see that I'm already preparing some activity for my pieces. So yeah, my field gets a little ventilated, and you see that my king would be completely exposed. But at the same point, I'll try to reduce the activity of my opponent the more possible. The game continues with spine to h5, so immediately going for the pawn, a little greedy. I defend with gem to e3, and at the same time you see that now my fox has a diagonal, even though I don't want to develop it now, but also my squirrel has a big diagonal. So very cool to slide and then try to attack somewhere, I don't know. We have pawn to e6, so now getting a nice diagonal for the nymph. Okay, I decide to follow with gem to c4, so very taking the center for now. Only stuff is that why do I put the c pawn to c4 and not the a pawn? There is a use to this. With this I can decide to push here the a pawn to stop the nymph going here, if I decide to do it. Also, this scroll will never be able to slide diagonal this way. So this has no use to block this rank file from the scroll. So with this, I'm sure that if there's a trade someday, I can still capture with the scroll and get some activity out of it. Also, that also defends one more time this pawn, and then I get the wrong arrow that gets the wrong the great diagonal for the hair. Yeah, this is I want to put the correct arrows for this. We have spine back to f6, so losing some time, and now I decide just to push on e5. So you have several ways of answering to this. You can decide to go back here, you can decide to go here, even that doesn't make quite some sense, and you can decide to go here. With this move, there's a risk that I can kick you again, and then you go here, and it doesn't look so great. So we spine back to g8. And yeah, this is pretty sad, I have to say, because my opponent is completely crushed on the opening. It doesn't have a lot of activity, so let's see how it goes. I go with pawn to a3, so now I saying to my opponent, okay, now your nymph doesn't have a strong development. I can still go here, though. But yeah, I'm just putting some pawns at the right place. You see that now I have a very funny pawn structure, indeed. And none of my pieces are moved, but this is not a problem because my opponent doesn't have a right attack to pose me. But he still tries to do something with pawn to d5, striking the center. You can decide to ignore it, but problem is that, for example, let's say you play this move. If captures, you can somehow be harassed by this kind of move, and you see that. No, you can't be harassed. Yeah, because this is captured by the Kraken. And then you have to put it on the light squares, and you see that two squirrels on the light squares is not good. They're just blocking each other somehow. Basically speaking, you want to get the squirrel pair somehow, because you can have those pieces like here, and then slide it like here, like here, like here, and you see they are very powerful, very connected. The squirrels are very strong, and this is a unique feature of this faction. So I decided just to capture the pawn, and after capture I capture back with the quartz, and I just, by my unique move, first move, yeah, but I just win a pawn. So I would never say no to this. Part of the problem now is that I'm exposed, so my opponent can decide, for example, to go with this move, but I would go eventually there and buy a tempo, and now it has to go here. And then this would be my time to move. Instead, my opponent decided to go for a spine to e7. So now I have the choice of trading or not against this spine. I don't want to, because I want my opponent to castle on the last move possible. So instead I decided to go quartz to c5. Of course I can be challenged this way, but maybe I'll just put the quartz back. But we have spine to d5 here, so now getting a square, so more water on the board, and also there's a threat of trade. This is not that a big threat, because let's say I ignore completely this move. If captures, you have to capture with the right piece. If you capture this way, then your squirrel is trapped somehow, because both are on the water square. So maybe you'll go here and get exchange, and this is not the best position. But with this move, you can also decide to capture simply with the pawn, and later on you will put that here, and your pawn structure is still alive. So not that a big deal. So this is why I decided to follow with jump to f3. What's the idea of this mysterious jump to f3? Oh, simply cutting the nymph path to be sure that it wouldn't be annoying. And you see now that this nymph can't go anywhere because this is controlled by the quartz, and I would have no problem to exchange. This is controlled by the hair, and now this is controlled by the pawn. So very cool harmony again. The game continues with pawn to f6, so trying to challenge the structure here. That makes sense, but I'm not in a hurry for now, so I continue simply with square to d3. So now developing the squirrel. Here there's a threat. Here I can decide to push here, kick the spine, and then kick the spine, and then push. And you see that suddenly my pawn structure would be very, very strong. and ready to perform a strong attack. Also, I could use my first move here, to get these quartz here and lead on an attack. And supported by the scroll, I could make some big damage here. So thanks to my harmony, I put the scroll on the right square. Also, I can continue. I can decide to slide here or here later on the game. So very cool stuff. We have pawn captures and pawn captures. Nothing to worry about. Maybe you can be inquired of this. Remember that this is a fork actually, so this is not working. My opponent here tried a tactic. He said, okay, I can capture there, and after capture, I capture that. A very common chess thing. He just forgot that the squirrel can just capture. And he say, aha, but I can trap the squirrel. Not really, because this is hanging. Double attack. On the spine, only one defense by the kraken. So wrong calculation by my opponent, which is forced to back up the spine. You could have pushed the pawn also, but yeah. Spine to e7 is played anyways. So now I'm pretty ready to perform my attack now. So I decided to play Heir to b3 because I want to be sure of something. This nymph wouldn't bother me. Actually, the only way where it can bother me is this way. For example, if you decide to go here, thinking that this works, that doesn't work. This is a battery, and this is a pin, and I'm going to win this piece. So very sad blunder. If you decide to go here, of course you can't, because the hair is going to take you. If you decide to go here, then I'm going to push, so buying a move, and even if you go here, this is not that interesting to play this, actually. And then I would have the activity, even there are quite somewhat squares after these moves. But instead of that, my opponent decides first to castle and put his king in safety. And also, as both pieces are in water, a swap is possible whenever he wants. I decided now to push the gem on e6, so it was my point of hair here, so I'm cutting the activity of this nymph, so cool for me. We have a pawn to b6, so now the nymph has the possibilities to develop this way. So I decided to retreat the squirrel back to d4, and this attacks the kraken. So the kraken has to move, and it moves to f6. Now there's a double attack over this gem and only one defense. So this is why I would slide the squirrel to e4. You see the little walk of the squirrel. I really like this. The squirrel pair is so powerful with the carbuncles, where you know how to handle them very coolly. Actually, there was a very disgusting move that my opponent could play. It was this move, spine to c6. That would break my squirrel stuff, and maybe I would be forced to put this here. And now, yeah, I'm not losing the game now, but I don't feel confident. After this kind of move, this becomes harder and harder to defend. You can defend this way, but yeah, it can be kicked this way. Like, my opponent has some way to win back this pawn, somehow. But instead, my opponent decided to play spine to f5, so maybe the greediness of grabbing a new square to get water. And here, that doesn't bother me, because I can continue to slide my squirrels. And now I have a very cool battery to push my pawn. We have a spine to h4, which is played. I guess the way is that you can put this here with check, and after king moves, because he creates water, this is protected. So this is a way of trying to get some squares later, and then you can swap with the kraken. So interesting strategy, but I'm not sure that it's strong enough. Now this is time for the tactics, because now that is secured, this piece is no use. This piece is undeveloped yet, so now I'm going to focus on tactics. So let's go with heir to d4. It goes with a nasty tactic. If you decide, for example, to go here, I can decide to go with this with a double discover attack over the kraken. So there are several ways to answer with this. Let's say you play a bad move and you go here, for example. Maybe I can decide to trade, check, captures, go here to stop the promotion, but then the fox come, go here, and then you just promote. And fox is safe, you're up material. Maybe, of course, with this technique, the kraken would go here, of course. But maybe, as a first move, I would immediately play that first. So maybe the point is that you play this move first. Maybe that would be a way of doing this. I don't know, I didn't calculate that line, but there is a threat of tactic with the discover attack, indeed. So my opponent decided to play the Kraken to d6 to be sure that I wouldn't get into some trick, and I decided to follow up with Heir to g3. So again, another disgusting move, but here the discover is a little tricky because I have to slide the squirrel here. But at the same point, we're attacking 2 times this this spine, so he has to react. You can react this way, but very risky because now it would slide here. For example, if you decide to defend this way, there's this move, check. And now this is protected by the hair. You go here, then maybe I can continue with this move. And now very complicated because there is a threat of promotion, and after, for example, these moves, there's a discover attack here. And you lost the Kraken. So yeah, not that possible. So the plan follows with spine to g2 check, king to f2, and then we have conch to e8. So the stuff here is that this ancient tactic sliding doesn't really work because you don't have the access fully to this. So yeah, I have to admit that my strategy doesn't work. But no problem. Now I have to deal with a triple attack here. Defend once and twice, but problem is that this is attacked once, twice and thrice. So you have to defend one more time. But I decided not to defend, I decided just to push, jump to e7. So now this is only attacked twice and this is defended twice, so nothing to worry about. So my opponent thinks, okay, I'm going to suppress defender here with mate to b7. And yeah, this is a pretty disgusting move because once I would decide, for example, to move the stuff here, then capture would happen. So pretty well played. But at the same time, very bad played because this is a blunder. A complete blunder, because now the game is mine. Can you find the crushing sequence using the Carbuncles? So please pause the video if you want. You can try to get it. The awful combination starts with Heir to e6 check. Now your king is forced to go here. What is the next move? Fox goes here to f7. Now the king is forced to go back, and then you can take the Kraken with check, the king goes, and then you get the nymph. Is that all? No, no. There was something even crazier. After this move, and when you pet the fox here, there is a mate in 1 with fox to g6. Haha. What's the point of this? Check, defended here, also check. And this square is defended by the fox. And as this is double check, you can't spare the threat. So even the Kraken can't take it. So a very nice way to checkmate. So seeing that, my opponent is forced to take with the Kraken to survive. So I take with the scroll, and then my opponent takes the scroll here, and I retake back. Seeing that, normally if you're careful enough, you see that this spine is not protected, and is dead, because here the hair can capture it. So we have spine captures, gem captures, and now this is just the end of the game. My opponent is going to die very soon. So let's see how he tries to survive. We have a conch to c8 doing not so much stuff, because I can just play Heir to f5 with a tempo here, so unfortunately wrong move. So the conch goes back to a8, so just wasting a move. Now I have to lead the attack over the king, and I decide to put the fox on d5. So not the classic first move jumping I don't know where, because this is pretty well controlled. So just freely putting into d5, because I have a lot of activity, a lot of squares. This is very hard to attack me. And now I have some threats here. I don't have all the lines, but if you do nothing, I guess I can develop this piece, and now I block that. If you do again nothing, so 2 times doing nothing, so I would have check, go here, check, go here, and mate. Because the hare is attacking the king, the fox is defending this square, the pawn is defending this square, the fox is defending the hare and the quartz is defending the fox. Yeah. Somehow with Carbuncles you need a lot of pieces to mate. This is better. So you can have early games crazy mate, even though you can mate on the end games, but you need at least 2 pieces. Or maybe 1 with the scroll, but this is a very hard final to play. When you have 2 kings against the scroll, you can decide to play it if you want. So somehow the king decided immediately to hide on h8, seeing that he doesn't have anything. So great for me, I have fox to f7 check, king goes back, and then quartz to e5. So now the threat is to capture here and mate. But my opponent is not that stupid and he finds something. Conch take e7. You say, that doesn't help, because, do you see the mate? Captures, the king has to go here, and mate. Because, again, this is check, this is controlled, and the quartz controls that. So, did my opponent blunder? No, because after it captures here, my opponent swaps with the conch. Incredible. And now this is a mate. Very hard to spot. Can you find the first move of the mate? Actually, if you are a good matches player, you have to see where the king can go. You see that this skull can control that this fox controls these 3 squares. And by sliding the quartz somewhere, you can get control over some square. But you have to be careful because this quartz is actually defending the fox. So the first move to be played, and I hope you all find it, was quartz to g5 check. Now your opponent has 2 options. Going to f8, going to f6. If your opponent goes to f8, this is a very simple mate, with fox to d7. Why? Because simply there's attack, attack, attack. This is defended by the scroll, and also the quartz is here. So mate. So the king has to go here. Then what's the next move? The next move was really hard to find. It was scroll to f5. So here, this is a check supported by this, also supported by this, and that defends the quartz at the same time. Even this quartz was defended by the fox. So we see that there's an imbrication of this. So let's control all the squares that are controlled. So this square is controlled, this square is controlled by the hare, this square is controlled by the squirrel and the fox, this square is controlled by the fox itself and also the hare, this square is controlled this square is controlled by fox. For this one, this is controlled by the quartz, so the king has only 1 move available, is to go here. Now what's the next move? Again, very tricky. The next move was squirrel to e6, so again sliding. So again, we have our protection here, our truss between the 2 pieces. This is check. These 3 squares are still controlled this way. This square is still controlled by the squirrel here, and we still have the protection thanks to the quartz. So the king is pretty forced to go back here. So now you know how to end the position. It was just by the simple fox to d7. So a very interesting way of playing the carbuncles, I have to say, because here this was a crushing move. I completely crushed my opponent. But you see the high variety of stuff you can do with this faction. This is just incredibly cool. So I hope you really liked this game as I did, and we're going to see each other for our next game. See you then. Bye.